everybody to the session called Ecology of Currencies, Tooling, Incentives and Design. We have wonderful guests in the session. We have Ashely from Resource, we have Serge from Dunia Pay, and Pat from cLabs. Welcome to this panel and many thanks for joining us. You're building exciting things and we would like to talk about that today. My name is Markus. I'm an economist. I'm working on platform economics on Celo at cLabs. I'm based in Berlin. And before we start the panel and have our panelists introduce themselves and their amazing projects, please allow me to do a very general intro to the topic ecology of currencies with some exciting announcements also inside. The main functions of a currency or money in any form, and we probably all have heard it before, are being a medium of exchange, being a unit of account, or a store of value. So money, in order to be a good measurement of the market value of goods or to be a good store of value, should not be too volatile. I'm not going into how to measure this volatility, but with an estimated average Bitcoin volatility over a week in dollar terms, somewhere between, let's say, 50 and 250%, Bitcoin varies a lot. We know that the main purpose of Bitcoin is probably not day-to-day transactions. Bitcoin is a great reserve asset, but for day-to-day transactions, we probably need something else. And for this, we have stable coins, like the Celo dollar, for example. It is possible, for example, with Valora, we heard about it, to send Celo dollar around the world to anyone with a mobile phone in 5 seconds for less than a cent in fees. Given the topic of this panel today, we're not digging deeper into the stability mechanism, but more into the currency itself. Many people, not only in the US, but around the world, want equal access to a stable asset, like the Celo dollar tracking the US dollar. But the value of a basket of goods varies around the world. A bread, for example, here in Berlin has a different price than in Nairobi or in Sao Paulo. And people, users, clients, merchants around the world might need different currencies. Maybe because they have to account in local fiat or pay taxes or pay their suppliers. Maybe you don't want exchange rate risk to the dollar if you're the baker of this bread here in Berlin or in Sao Paulo and you have to pay your supplier with euros or Brazilian real. And therefore, it's an important feature of Celo that it is able to host different currencies on the platform. And not only different fiat currencies, but a rich ecology of different kinds of currencies, natural asset-backed currencies, currencies for specific use cases, local currencies, and many more. On natural asset-backed currencies, an exciting announcement. The Celo Reserve just issued a request for proposal online on celoreserve.org for assets on Celo that are backed by carbon credit or other nature-backed assets. This is only one example of an ecology of currencies. And this brings me to the next great announcement. Actually, Celo Euro will be the second stable coin after the Celo dollar, and with many more to follow afterwards, hopefully. It is currently in referendum stage. It will be activated tomorrow on Earth Day and the first birthday of the Celo mainnet. And the Celo Euro unlocks users in a region that accounts for 25% of global remittances. Remittances in Celo Euro will enable 50 million migrant workers here in Europe to send value home to their families. And Celo Euro will have the same great features as Celo dollar. It settles within 5 seconds. The gas fee is around a cent on the euro, and gas can be paid in the same currency in Celo Euro. And this brings me to the next exciting announcement. So many announcements today. The strategic partnership with Deutsche Telekom. Since the announcement was picked up by so many newspapers around the world yesterday, many of you probably have already heard that Deutsche Telekom joins the Alliance for Prosperity. So Deutsche Telekom and the whole Celo community are very aligned in making these currencies I talked about available to users around the world. Deutsche Telekom has 242 million mobile customers. I learned that yesterday. They are in 50 countries, and Celo is mobile first. So this is already a perfect match to enable anyone with a mobile phone to make fast and easy transactions. And like all these developments, Celo Euro, Deutsche Telekom, and all community members help to bring Celo currencies into the hands of real users. And therefore, we now would like to introduce 3 of these great projects doing exactly that, enabling access to currencies. These projects are Resource, Dunia Pay, and cLabs in this panel here with me today. And now I was talking for a very long time. So please, Ashely, Serge, Pat, introduce yourself, your project, and why you chose Celo to build on. Ashely, do you want to start?
Sure. Thanks, cool. Marcus. Good to see you again. So my name is Ashely Taylor. My background was in cultural anthropology, and that's how I got interested in what was going on in tech, because there were decisions being made in small rooms that were affecting the world's culture. And I was working at a think tank. It was focused on things like alternative currencies. Bitcoin was around at the time, so I was researching that. And then the Ethereum white paper came out, and things started to click for me, that there was going to be a profound tool for organizing people and resources and capital. So I got involved with Consensus. I was the first employee there. Worked there for 2 years, then wanted to get more of a broad perspective in the space. So I've done a lot of work with the cyber threats globally that are going on, and how without any kind of regulation, abuses can happen. And so how do we design smart regulation? I started a social enterprise in New York City. It's a community and event space, mostly a low-income community. And in that research and work there, I started building a platform for people to barter and trade coupons of their time and resources. And I got connected to this team that I'm currently working with called Resource, which I'm excited to tell you about. At the time, they had just got the accelerator from Celo. And we're like, oh, you need to pay attention to this whole new financial inclusion blockchain. And they were totally right. So we joined forces, and there's a lot of things I can say about Celo, but the basic thing is there's a lot of infrastructure and community being built here that I think for the long term is the type of financial infrastructure that will actually achieve goals of financial inclusion. And so I'm excited to be part of it for that reason. Thanks.
Great. Serge from Dunia Pay, can you also maybe introduce yourself?
So hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here. So my name is Serge. Originally, I'm a physics graduate. I've started venturing into crypto early 2016, and I found out about Celo through Celo Camp. So that's where we started building Dunia Pay on the Celo blockchain. So Dunia Pay is an app focused on Africa that allows users to save, spend, and transfer money to any phone number. So our goal with Dunia Pay is to build a banking service that can serve unbanked persons in Africa. We're focused on 14 different African markets currently, located in both Central and Western Africa. So the advantage with this economic zone is that they both have a stable currency, and this currency is equal. So basically, we're trying to launch a stable coin on Celo that would represent the currency of both this region and allow those users to transfer cross-border and also do savings directly on Celo using protocols like Moolah, and also access investment opportunities. They could even invest in the Celo asset as a future bet on the network itself. So I'm excited to be here and talk about the new currencies we're launching.
Cool, exciting. Thanks a lot. And then we have Pat from cLabs.
Hi, I'm Pat. I'm the co-founder of cLabs. We're based in Berlin. I would characterize us as a crypto institutional innovation lab. We do a lot of work with token engineering, with understanding decentralized governance, understanding the types of primitives that need to be put together to create institutions that are effectively assemblages. In terms of Celo, the reason we're interested is because of the CP Dodo algorithm. So the stability mechanism, actually, this is a very elegant way to run a reserve. This is a very clever way to create a stable coin. And we're toying with this algorithm for the purposes of creating more effective community currencies. And we're doing this with a group in Curacao. So we've been involved with the group in Curacao for 2 to 3 years now. This group's called Colectivo, or this is the name that's finally been landed on. It means collective in the native language. And sort of what we're doing now is, or what I'm holding is the specification for what I would characterize as a half central bank, half investment bank, completely democratically governed, using a mix of legacy institutional form and new social choice mechanisms that didn't exist before and weren't part of the democratic process.
Great. So it's very exciting. We have a lot of experts on different kinds of tokens and use cases. And since this panel is about currencies and different ecologies of currencies, let's dig a bit deeper into that. And maybe, Ashely, you could start by telling us a bit more about tokens that you are working on, about use cases for these tokens, and where you would see demand for these tokens coming from.
Sure. So our token is based upon an idea called mutual credit. And we have designed what we think is a unique type of stablecoin that its value is actually derived from a network of businesses agreeing to pay each other back using the stablecoin. And we're not innovating upon this concept. The Vir Bank in Switzerland is a well-known example of this, as well as thousands of barter and local currency networks around the world. We're just adding the blockchain and some updated technology to systematize these movements that are already going on. In terms of why I think now is the time, I mean, of course, understanding the benefits of blockchain and connecting these different local currencies together seems like it will give a lot of power and new opportunities for the movement, but also because we are in a global depression and the pandemic, these types of networks and concepts are always correlated to downturns in the real economy. So it is right for there to be more of a global focus on this, as well as trust in fiat-based currencies has eroded a lot in the past few years. Like, it's starting to leak into common circles, not just in our crypto circles. So people are starting to resonate with that. So culturally, I think we're at that point. And I wanted to say also that I think what's also interesting about these local currency movements is that usually they're sort of developed in a silo, but now we have an ecosystem like on Celo and other blockchains that are developing tools for these little local currency movements. So they've never had someone with a fintech background, start to think about, well, how do I create more financial products that are socially responsible for your local currency? So I think that this type of innovation and thinking is going to give some wings to the movement that hasn't been there before. And final point is we are currently launching. I'm in Asheville, North Carolina. It's a city of about 100,000 people. And I'm from about an hour from here. So we are, actually working with real life businesses here in Asheville and bringing them into the cryptocurrency ecosystem. So I'm really excited to share progress of how that goes.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, it's exciting that the whole community now is working on these, and as a community, we probably can make sure that these local currencies, these different tokens with different use cases, this ecology of money is actually interoperable, so that you're not developing in a silo, but basically building something that many people can use, and therefore it's exciting to see what you're doing. Great. Serge, I have a question about Dunia Pay. You talked about sending, receiving, but you also talked about saving. For your user base, where do you see currently a lot of demand? Is it more like transactions, day-to-day transactions? Is it saving products or something else? Where are you focusing on?
So I would say currently our user base, their needs are more on the savings and lending side. So they're looking for like affordable solution that they can use to either save or take a loan that they can repay using convenient terms. So the region we're targeting, one of its advantage is that both their currencies are pegged to the euro. So you can build usability by launching a stablecoin that can be directly exchangeable for C-Euro on Celo, for example. So this would allow the users of both regions to transact directly between each other, which wasn't possible before because they had to go through the euro. And they also will be able to do savings and also lending products directly on Celo. So the stablecoin we're building is used to power our banking app and allow users to be able to transact between each other. So right now, we just launched the proof of concept. So the contract went live about 1 week ago. We're trying to move up the speed and onboard new merchants so that they can allow deposit and withdrawal from the platform itself. The mechanism is pretty simple. So the merchant will be able to do burn and mint from our contracts. So basically, they would be able to create stable coins and burn stablecoin out of existence from the system. So this will allow users to have like a convenient way to onboard our app and also transact. So they will be able to do savings, lending, money transfers, but also have like their daily transaction taken care of because they can still access like local fiat. So that's the goal currently, and we're looking for help also building our on-ramp. So anyone can contact us if they have any idea they can share.
Cool, interesting. How do you drive awareness for your app and for your product in your market?
So right now we've been growing organically, but we're trying to start an educational campaign where we try to train people to use like blockchain protocols. So it started with Moolah and Uniswap. So basically we were explaining to people how they could use those services to do their everyday transactions. So before that, people thought cryptocurrencies product could only be used for speculating purposes. So with those education tools, they're able to see the power behind the service, and they're also able to see behind the speculative aspect of crypto. So they're able to see a way they could use those products to power their daily lives by doing their savings on chain and also do transfers. So that's basically how we're getting people to use their service. But we're also using merchant as an advertisement platform. Because since they're also near the clients, they're able to advertise the services we're offering inside our app directly to the clients and also provide their service directly since they're technically the on-ramp and the off-ramp to the service.
Nice, amazing. Pat, you mentioned CP-Doto, the stability mechanism that lives on Celo. CP-Doto is short for a decentralized one-to-one mechanism that also includes a constant product part to it that is similar to, for example, Ethereum fans that know Uniswap. The short name of this mechanism is Mento, the on-chain exchange, and this always allows you to exchange, for example, between Celo dollars and Celo, or in future then also between Celo euro and euro. Tell us a bit about the local currency you're planning to build. Tell us a bit about Curacao, the need for a local currency, and what you would like to do with it.
I think we should expand that discussion. We shouldn't just think of a local currency in terms of, some sort of medium of exchange stablecoin that's, being transacted in a given community. But we should think of, crypto assets. We should think of this sort of ecological family of currencies, and we should think, specifically geospatially. So we should think in a hyperlocal manner, which we're not used to doing. In blockchain, we have sort of this omnidirectional digital space that we're used to occupying and working within, sort of this hyper-financialization where we're dealing with Ethereum, Bitcoin, essentially their value is derived from memes. Look at Doja, this week. It's meme-driven developments in a sense. But once we start to think geospatially and we introduce ecology, we can really start to think of, okay, what are the other types of reserve assets that we can use as collateral to mint this medium of exchange currency? And that's where things get interesting. You just talked about Celo putting out this RFP for natural capital currencies, as I'm calling them. And I had kind of a lot of fun working on this paper because in thinking geospatially, we actually have multiple overlays in a given geospatial area, in an extent zone. We have ownership, who owns the land. We have ecosystem assets, what is the qualities of the land. We have ecosystem services. So it's not just about stocks, but about understanding flows. And ecosystem services actually have a given ecological state at T1, and they transition to an ecological state at T2, and there can be a value extracted from the change in this ecological state. And then there is even another overlay, which I wouldn't call a natural capital currency, but I would say it sort of fits in this idea of simply augmented space. We have augmented landscapes forming in urban zones, but we haven't really witnessed this yet in more rural areas because we don't have the appropriate sort of sensing apparatus that are attached to them in terms of sensors and in situ remote monitoring these sorts of cyber-physical systems. But once we can start to measure all of these things, and once we can create, sort of robust data ecologies, then we can design tokens around them. And these tokens actually have a quite literal value. They have value that goes beyond the meme. They have value that is attached to something tangible. And we can introduce policy making for a local institution that can aim for a particular type of ecological state by stimulating the value of that ecological state currency. And this is what we're trying to achieve with this particular institution specification we're working on.
And bringing this back to Curacao and the things you're trying to do there, what is basically the application there? So
we just did an NFT sale of a food forest. We just created a tokenized food forest. So it starts at an NFT. It's going to be a sharded NFT, so it will have liquidity, and you feed this into any sort of AMM function, and it has liquidity at any level of granularity. But once we do that, we can say, okay, this food forest through measurements has this particular ecological state, and it has been verified by this oracle in this way. Now we would like to transition the food forest to ecological state number 2. And through that, you can create a connection with the value of the token to the value of what the food forest is producing. So perhaps we want more fruit, or perhaps we want to emphasize or intervene in such a way to create a more robust ecosystem service provided by this forest. And we can do that by taking this token and giving it value as collateral in the reserve, as part of some farming contract, part of some generalized insurance policy. With you look at something like Nexus Mutual, some of the other primitives that exist, we can do all of these things now. And the nice thing about Celo, I'm tying it back in, is that Celo is EVM compatible. So we do have all the tools, we have all the libraries, we have all of the infrastructure that has already been created on Ethereum, and now we can push it one step further, and we can do things in a way that benefit local communities, last mile users who are mobile first, as you pointed out.
So you make use of it, that it's like easy, transferable, that it's cheap and fast. That is great. Ashely, you mentioned mutual credit token. I want to learn also a bit about the concrete application there. Is it small and medium businesses that would need this, or who are the users of a token like this?
Yeah, so we're definitely focusing on small and medium businesses and launching in the US at this point. We in the US are taking sort of a local regional approach in Asheville, North Carolina, which will then be connected to Western North Carolina and the Southeast is the way that we see it. And we think that it will be worthwhile to both launch with small and medium businesses here, and then start to tap into their supply chain. So there's a lot of breweries here, a lot of farmers and things like this. So we want to look at where does the supply chain break down, that it has to go out of the community, and maybe there are ways to create efficiencies and strengthen the local economy by finding suppliers that could fulfill that gap. So in the terms of how we view our market here in the US, you can think of it as sort of a global or a national market, but then these stronger local hubs for where supply chains start to get connected. In terms of non-US markets, we think that we will partner with other entrepreneurs that want to launch their own mutual credit economy and design their own stablecoin that has the same mechanics of our stablecoin, but can be sort of denominated in a different way. Like, it might not make sense to denominate it in the local currency that has a severe inflation problem. So then we will get to come up with different ways, or look at what else is going on in the space with algorithmic stablecoins as those develop, and see what other types of underlying assets can make sense for pegging.
Great. So with only 2.5 minutes left, maybe time for all of you to share last thoughts about the things you're building. Maybe you can also give the community that is listening in today a sense of when do you plan to be live with these things? When can I use the local currency in Curacao? When can I use the mutual credit token? When can I use Dunia Pay's token that is pegged to the Celo euro? What do you think? And maybe Ashely, you can start again.
So we've launched here in Asheville. We're focusing mostly on Asheville and local North Carolina businesses, although you can also enroll if you are a freelancer and provide services that don't have to be focused on the locale. And we are launching our governance token probably later this year. The purpose of the governance token will be to stake and underwrite credit lines of the businesses using data that's provided via oracles and our on-chain data that we're developing. So you can follow us on our Discord or reach out to me on Twitter. It's Ashely Tweets, or our other Twitter is ResourceNetCo. And I can connect you with resources, and hopefully we can talk about ideas for what you want to build on the protocol. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. Serge, what is your plan?
So right now we went live with our product in Burkina Faso. So currently we're looking at going live worldwide so that immigrants and all Africans abroad can use our services. We're finishing integration with on-ramp and off-ramps and should be fully live by the end of May. So right now what we're looking for is people interested in cash-out partnerships. We have an extensive network in Western and Central Africa. And we can partner with everyone looking to do a remittance product or looking to do cash outs in Western Africa. So yeah, that's for me.
Exciting, and people can find you on duniapay.net if they want to look at it. And Pat, last thoughts.
So in terms of Curacao, I'm very, very much hoping, and perhaps too optimistic here, understanding how these timelines actually play out. We can have a small pilot in 6 months. And I say small pilot because, we are playing with some risky parameters here. We are playing with the design, which isn't a conventionally sort of one-to-one backed reserve. We're introducing leverage to Mento, and, that's going to be fun. I want to leave things off with a message, because I am the last one here. And my message here is our institutions are failing us. Our monetary system is failing us. You look at money velocity as the lowest it has ever been in history. You look at the state. The states have no idea how to manage COVID. It is time now for us to no longer ask permission. It is time now for us to seek self-sovereignty. And we now have the tools to do it. And we must do it because our livelihoods are at stake. And I very much hope to see the Celo ecosystem evolve in this way. And I think it is.
Wow, powerful last words, a great call to action, great projects in this panel with Resource, Dunia Pay, cLabs, also great announcements with the Celo Euro, the Deutsche Telekom joining the Alliance for Prosperity, the call for proposals for nature asset-backed assets. That's it from the Ecology of Currencies panel. Thanks a lot for joining us, and thanks a lot for the panel presenters.